Now, if you haven't watched the previous training video on joins, you want to watch it so you can get a better idea of what I'm going to be covering here. But really quick, a join is a temporary relationship that we can create within a query. And so a self-join is what I'm going to be doing here, is joining a table unto itself. Now I can only create a relationship, which sounds odd, with a table unto itself if that table contains two fields where it has duplicate data in those fields but in different records. For example, I've got my supervisors table, and I've got two fields, the first field and the last field, that contain duplicate data but in different records. Well, let's look at one of the employees. We have Paul Heffernan. His employee ID is E18. For the supervisor ID, I just use the employee ID. So you can see where we can get duplicate data but in different records. So his supervisor, if I look up this employee ID, which is EE01, is going to be Max Klinger. So instead of coming in here and going, okay, who's the supervisor? Let me look up the employee. I can go ahead and create a query that will say we'll list all the employees' names in one column and then all their corresponding managers in another. So I can just go straight across and not have to zigzag around to find the employee's supervisor by looking at the employee ID here and looking it up over in this column over here. So let me go ahead and open up my supervisors query that I just started. All I did here was add the supervisors table here. And to join this table unto itself, so I can go ahead and relate the ID in one table unto the supervisor ID in the other, is to go ahead and duplicate that table. How do I do it? Well, to show your tables, as you recall, you can do it one of two ways. Come up here, click on the Design tab. In the Query Setup, click on Show Table, close out, or right-click up here in a blank area, and then go down to Show Table. And there it is, Supervisors, double-click, close out. And you can see this is the first copy of the original here. Let me go ahead and hover over the bottom and expand it. And so that's how I'm going to go ahead and relate it unto itself. Now to do that, to relate ID unto supervisor ID or supervisor ID unto ID, it doesn't matter which way you link it, you just have to do a little bit of cleaning up. And what I mean by that is that it's a little bit confusing when you have supervisors here and supervisors there. We can go ahead and give them alias names. This could be the employees and that could be the managers, and we'll do that in just a second. But before I go ahead and link one ID to the other, or from that ID to the other one in the second table, remember that these relationships or joins have to have fields that have the same data type. Let's go ahead and check it in the supervisors table by right-clicking, going to the design view, and the ID has the data type text, and the supervisor ID has the same data type text. So we're good to go. Let's go back to the query here. And I'm going to go ahead and click and drag supervisor ID from the supervisors table over onto the ID in the supervisors one and let go. It creates a temporary join, and as you recall in the previous training video, it's an inner join. So only those fields that match, that have the exact same data, will be pulled in. And again, you want to watch a previous training video if you don't know what an inner join is. Now to help avoid confusion, I want to go ahead and rename these tables here, give them alias names. So for example, the supervisors table, I'll name employees. So I'll go ahead and right click on that title there and go to properties. Come over here in the property sheet and let's go ahead and type over the alias that's currently table and supervisors to employees and hit the tab key. After I hit the tab key, there it goes. It changes from supervisors to employees. This one I want to go ahead and rename the alias from supervisors 1 to managers, then hit the tab key. Then I'll go ahead and close out. So far so good. So all I need to do now is to go ahead and add, well, the first and last name for the employees down below, and then the corresponding related record that it's joined to their manager's first and last name. So let's go ahead and double click first, last, double click first and last, and let's go ahead and take it for a test drive. Before I go ahead and click the view button, remember queries, when you try to view them or run them, they don't like it when the table that it's based upon, or tables, is open. So let me go ahead and right click and close out of that table, then click on the view button, and let's see if it works. Let's go ahead and hover over up in between those two columns until my pointer turns into black arrows pointing in opposite directions, then click and drag or double click really fast and double click, and it works out great. We've got the list of the manager Max Klinger for all these employees here, and then Bob, he's only the manager over one employee, and then the manager over these employees, and so on. Looks great. Couple of things before we close out. Let me go ahead and right click and go back to the design view. If you don't like the caption manager's name for the first and last, go ahead and select one of these fields and then right click and go to the properties and then come up here for the last name for the caption and go ahead and say, okay, I don't want to see managers.last. Let's go ahead and just say last M. I mean, whatever you want to go ahead and put and replace. Then hit the Tab key, go ahead and click on the View button, and there it is, last name for managers. Let me go ahead and right click and go back to the design view and close out of here. Now you may be wondering why I went from supervisor ID to the ID in the managers as opposed to, let me go ahead and select it, hit the delete key, from ID here to the supervisor ID there, because when I do it that way and I click on the View button, then I'll have to change things around because now it lists the manager as the employee and the employee as the manager, which is not correct. So back to my design view, I would go ahead and rename this the managers and then that the employees for it to be correct. But instead of doing that, I'll just go ahead and select it and go from supervisor ID in the employees table to the ID in the managers. And then when I click on the View button, it sorts it out as it should, where we've got the manager here for each employee over there. Thanks for watching. Hey, as a quick reminder, if you like my video, please give it a thumbs up. You can also click on me and subscribe to my channel to get notified of the latest videos. And for great specials on my products, please see the description below this video.